When I was 6 years old, I got off at this train station and walked 3 kilometers all the way to Terezin. My life was never the same.
I never met someone who deserves the day the way that you do, Joseph. It's time to get ready and the spotlight's shining down upon you, Joseph. So be back, oh, from I'm on my way, yeah, here it comes. And I'm delivering a wish to you, so get ready, from every peak and valley they're telling you to get ready, 'cause here it comes. It's on the way. It's a celebration across the nation.
All right, we are back for part 2 of the interview with Gidon Lev. I'm going to bring him back in 1 second, but boy, oh boy, Gidon and I were just chatting in the green room in the background. These days, his green room is a safe room too, and I said, my goodness, the last 24 or 48 hours have been crazy, and he said, you don't know, like these days, you kind of don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, or next week, or next month, maybe even next hour. And I think it just opens up this beautiful idea of just living for the moment, being present, and controlling what you can control. And so we're back. I'm going to bring him back. Gidon, welcome back to the show.
Hi.
I'd like to do this every day if I could. In fact, I can't even fool people by bringing these two parts together, because I went and had I want to look more like you. So I had a haircut, I had a shave. So I look very different to how you saw me on Friday.
At this stage and age, you don't get big haircuts. The minimum always, because you don't have too much hair left anyway. So you want to keep what you have.
It's true. I should start to grow it out. So for those of you that are watching right now, I'm going to play you the last 4 or 5 minutes, because it was kind of unprecedented. We're having a conversation, having an interview, and Julie Gray, who's in the background, says, "Hey, we got to go. We got to go. We've got 10 minutes before missiles have been sent from Iran." I can't believe I'm even saying this. And Gidon just looks at the screen and he goes, "We've got some time." He says, "Ask me another question." So I did. And we ended up finding out about his mom and a spoon. And then the siren sound, and we have that on camera. So I'm going to play it right now. And then Gidon and I will continue our conversation. So here it goes.
This is only between you and me. That she took a Kochleffer. You know what a Kochleffer is?
I'm sorry, but we just got an alert. No, I'm sorry. We have 10 minutes to get to safety.
Okay.
So you need to wind this up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So that I took, she took a what is it? A spoon that you
like a ladle.
A ladle. That's it. Exactly. That's the right word. She took a wooden ladle and wanted to hit me. And for the first time, I took her hand and said, "Nine, no more, mother. You're not going to hit me with this." And that was the last time she tried to do that. But it's a long story. My mother's history and relationship with me was flawed, bad, but I still love her, and I understand she herself had suffered terribly when she was a little girl. It's a long story.
Gidon, I know you. Yes, I know you have to get to safety right now, and I mean this is exactly what we thought or assumed could happen, which is missiles are on their way over again. I mean, this is the reality of the world that you're living in.
That's correct. That's exactly it. This is our reality at the moment.
I know, and you know, in a way, it almost doesn't seem fair that a Holocaust survivor has to go through this again. We had a Holocaust survivor that was attacked in San Diego as well, and yet there's still almost a smile. It's not a smile on your face, but this reality of this is life. Let's get on with it.
Yes. So you have you ask another question. We think we have time for another question.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I'm going to ask you one more question, and who knows, maybe we'll do a part 2. I want to talk about it's the only question in my mind right now, which is God, which is you've seen the ability for people to hold on to a belief or faith in a higher power, to either thank God or blame God or not believe in God. And I'm not even interested in what the answer is. But ultimately, when we think about how bad things can happen to good people, how does one stay hopeful, faithful, whether it is in God, a higher power, spirituality, mankind? How do you essentially keep the faith throughout everything that you've experienced up until right now?
You know, I just feel that if I give up on hope, I give up on life. If I give up on hope, I give up on life. I'm not prepared to do that. I'm alive. I'm here. True, I'm 90 years old. I survived everything from appendicitis, tonsillitis, um, 2 times cancer, and now I almost my heart had stopped, and they had to rush me to the hospital to put a pacemaker. But here I am, and I'm going to be here until they say, "Die, must speak." Well, done. You going?
Not yet. Your time is not up yet. The book is called "Let's Make Things Better: A Holocaust Survivor's Message of Hope and Celebration of Life." Gidon, I found a quote. I always try and find a quote for my guests. This one is from Anay Nin, and it's, "People living deeply have no fear of death. When you live life, as you said, if I give up on hope, I give up on life." I guess my last question for you right now is do you live deeply? Is this you? Would this describe your life at the moment? Do you live deeply? Do you fear death?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, we have
There
to
it
shut
is.
off, and we hear the
Sorry.
siren.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
seconds to go. Okay, sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
Shabbat Shalom. And wow. And that was the end. That was the end of our conversation. Thank God that siren was short-lived. You're safe. And then, of course, between then and now, US has dropped these bunker buster bombs on these 3 nuclear facilities in Iran. But other than that, it's just been a boring Sunday, right, Gidon? Welcome back.
I'm back, and I'm happy to be back with you.
You know,
it's like a celebration of being alive. Here we are talking again after bombarding and being bombarded, and then we continue our lives, and we have a nice exchange here.
Absolutely. In fact, I thought, Julie, she WhatsApped me earlier and she said, are we still going ahead given the events that have happened? And I said, why? What happened? Did anything happen? And then I just said, I'm joking. But what I should have said, why? Because I had a haircut and a shave. Anyway, Gidon, if you do write another book, I think maybe the book should just be called Here I Am. I love that. Hineni, right? Isn't that Hineni?
I remember that.
Yeah, here I am, reporting for duty as a humanitarian, as a purveyor of optimism. I actually spoke about you this weekend. We were in synagogue and discussing the portion of the week which was about the spies that went in to the land of Israel. 12 spies went in. 2 came out with a positive account, 10 with a negative account. And it was all about optimism at the end of the day. And I said, so I invoked your name and I said, this is Gidon. He sees the glass not only as half full, but when the glass is empty, believes it will be full again. It is the power of optimism. So here we are. Here I am. Here you are. Let's get back to the story. Let's get back to after the liberation. I want you to set the scene and talk about your life now. You've survived Theresienstadt. You've survived the Holocaust. You've moved to the US, but now I want to almost fast forward to not present day, but pre-October 7th, where you realize that you have a calling in life and you dedicate at least a portion of your life to combating anti-Semitism. So tell us a little bit about where you actually find and feel that you have a purpose, specifically with respect to combating anti-Semitism, and obviously introducing the fact that you become a viral TikTok star.
Well, the very fact that we went on TikTok was actually quite adventurous and questionable. What can we do on TikTok? But I have a partner, Julie Gray, who's very creative and very smart and knows her way around internet. So she said, look, we wrote a book, The True Adventures of Gidon Lev, and maybe we can get a few more people to buy our book. Let's give it a shot. So we did. And while we were doing this, while we were making short little clips on TikTok, we were bombarded at sometimes with terrible reactions. People were nasty. People called me a liar. One person, I remember very clearly, he said, "You lie. You are telling us all lies." And I said, "My dear sir, I truly wish it was all a lie, because if it had been a lie, I would have had father, grandfathers, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, cousins. I even would have had childhood. I had none of these. None. They all were destroyed by the German Nazis in the Holocaust. So please, forgive me. Check your knowledge. Read. Learn. And when you have done that, come back to me and we'll talk.
Wow, it's very powerful, and it's a very powerful response, which is "I wish." Just 2 words, "I wish." Let me show a couple of these amazing TikToks for people to watch. I've got a few of them. Here's one of them.
Hip, hip. Hip, hip. Hip, hip. Hip, hip. When you're on a holiday, you get
this beautiful smile on your face. I'll show one more. I have two more clips. One is not as as joyous, but this one was used to promote the book. I love this one too.
Everybody made it. Infiltrated. Activated. New York, London, Paris, Munich. Everybody talk about pop music. Talk about pop music. Talk about pop music. Pop.
They're beautiful. I love the look on your face. You're enjoying them as much as I am.
I do enjoy them. I do. It's so funny. I sometimes I even forget what I did. But the first one that you showed, that's one of my sons and the grandson, and they all do aquabalance, all kinds of stands and tricks. Because at my age, I can't do very many. But here they took me and let me climb up on one of their knees, and yeah, I got it too. Maybe a little bit of the fact that my biggest hobby was folk dancing. So I still have that feeling of being able to move and to use my body.
Beautifully, I might add. So you mentioned in a few minutes ago about some of the comments, and one of the things that people, big corporate executives, brands, people that are out there trying to, whether it's building a name for themselves or trying to communicate information, they deal with what we call haters, and how to deal with haters. And so I was actually curious as to, and you partly answered that already, how you deal with people that spew hatred. So I'm going to ask you a different question, which is, do you ever lose your temper? Do you ever feel that you are consumed by negative emotions, by as opposed to this idea of continuing to fight hate with love? I think we could all learn a lot from your approach.
Okay. That's not an easy question to answer because I'm not an angel. I'm very human. And yes, I do lose my temper from time to time. I would say much less so now than 10, 15 years ago. But yes, I have that capacity to lose my temper and get angry, be very upset. But now, as you grow older, you become more aware and more sensitive to other people, and you all of a sudden you say, wait a second, whatever I'm saying, no, go back. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. There's always a second side to an argument or to another opinion. Let's work it out. Let's do it. Let's try. Calmly. Be calm. And I tell myself that, and it works. Works. Very rarely do I lose my temper nowadays. But I used to do it much more. And my family knew it. And they always said to my wife, whom I was married to for 40 years, said, are you okay? Are you okay? I said, yeah, it's okay. He's going to calm down. Don't worry.
Well, we're going to talk about this message about making things better. But I want to focus a little bit on anti-Semitism itself, because you've dedicated your life and elements of your life to being able to educate people. What is anti-Semitism in terms of, I'm not talking about a dictionary definition, but from your perspective, from Gidon Lev's perspective, from someone who witnessed it, who experienced it in the worst possible way at the age of 6, all the way through to October 7th.
You open a very big window. The fact is, I'm not sure there is an exact way of describing and understanding anti-Semitism. Basically, it is a hate, a negative feeling towards somebody who's different than you are. Who's different? And you realize very quickly that that person, those people, simply are ignorant. They don't know what really is being Jewish. Where does it come from? How long has it existed? How come it has survived a couple of thousands of years? What is the reason for keeping kosher? What is kosher? So you have to focus on the people that are accusing you of being just of people saying these things to you that are hurtful and harmful, and you realize that they are simply being ignorant. And if you can somehow get through to them that, look, we are people also. Yes, we have ways of doing things a little bit different, but it doesn't harm you. It's not destroying you. It's just being different. And that's not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult. And you have to work hard at it and continue doing it. And that's what I'm continuing to do. And that's why I wrote a book together with Julie called Let's Make Things Better on all levels, including the level of hating somebody who is different than you are, only because he or she are different.
So the word I think of is, diversity, which is recognizing that people that are different actually make the world a better place by creating different perspectives in the world. We actually have a question coming in, which I'm going to ask you in a moment. But you've seen anti-Semitism in its rawest, most cruelest form, which was the Holocaust. And I want to just, level set for a second. Gidon, it is such an honor to talk to you. You are essentially an endangered species in the sense that quite practically the number of living Holocaust survivors are dwindling. Practically, it is just a reality. It is important for us to have as many conversations with as many survivors as possible for as long as possible. I feel like it is an obligation. And I'm not, and I know I'm talking to you and I'm talking about you at the same time, but it really, I do want to just take a moment to just say how blessed I feel to be able to talk to you, because at some point, it's just going to be video archives. And until then, and that's why I asked you the question about living deeply and fearing dying, because I fear dying for some reason. But I mean, who am I at the age of 54 to fear dying when I haven't even lived like you've lived? So I started off by talking about anti-Semitism. how have you seen it change and evolve during the years? Because I think in many respects, October 7th convinced or reminded people that it was alive and kicking. How have you seen anti-Semitism evolve during the years? Has it gone away? Did you think it was under wraps? I know this is a very long question, but I'm just curious as to whether it was a surprise for you to see the world rail against the Jewish people after October 7th as it did.
It's a very hard question to answer, and it's very complicated. First of all, I haven't seen anti-Semitism. I have lived through it. That's a very big difference, because having been put into a concentration camp where you suffer from hunger, from overwork, from cold, from disease, and then also seeing people being shot or tortured, it puts it in a different perspective. So that once I have lived through this, I can explain to people how hating somebody because they are Black or Muslim or Jew is so self-demeaning and self-destructive. It destroys the person. It destroys the humanity in the person who's practicing it. And he or she doesn't even realize it. I just feel that if at all I have anything left in me, and by the way, I am not afraid of dying. I don't want to die in pain, but if I have to go, I will go. So that's it. But I don't want to I don't want to suffer. But I'm not afraid. I know it is going to come at some point or other fairly soon. And I don't even want, the saying in Hebrew is Ad 120, till 120. I'm not sure I want to live till 120. Living at the age of 90 is, there are all sorts of things that when you're 50 and 60, even 70, that you don't suffer from and doesn't bother you. Believe me, when you're 90, there are many little things that on an almost daily basis you have to deal with. And I am dealing with them, but I don't want to suffer from it. So my perspective about living, about anti-Semitism and hate in general is we gotta deal with it, we've gotta fight it, we've gotta explain it, we've gotta open people's minds that having people around you who are different from you but not intent on harming you is not such a terrible thing. You can learn, you can see, you can do something one way, but if they do it a different way, you can try it. Maybe it's even better than the way you did it.
I'm going to ask you a question that came in from David Bombach. Gidon, do you believe in miracles?
No, I really don't. I don't believe in miracles. But finally, we can say, having lived through 4 years of concentration camp, and my mother also having survived, in a way, yes, there's a miracle. I always say to people, I've had cancer, I've had appendicitis, I've had heart failure. Maybe there's a star somewhere's up there in the sky that's looking after me. I go for that. If it's a star that's helping me, keeping me alive, and still able to talk to you and to many other people, so be it. I'll accept it.
There you go. Gidon, let's talk about young people. Let's talk about whether they call, I mean, from millennials to now Gen Z. What do they need to know? What do you want to tell them? What's the message to the next generation and the generation after that?
I would say my message to young people is live as full alive as you can. Don't be afraid. Be open to trying things that might be a little questionable. Get out of the box. Get out of the box. Try, experiment, see, learn, read. Important thing is to read, because read gives you knowledge, and knowledge gives you power and the feeling that you can try things that before you were afraid. When I was young, didn't read enough. I'm catching up now. I'm not sure I will, but I'm reading a great deal now. But I wish I would have read much more when I was 20, 30, 40 years younger. So that's my general message. Don't be afraid. Get out of the box, experiment, try, see, without hurting other people. As long as you are doing things that are positive, that people can learn from, that you can learn from, do it. Do not be afraid. Is that a good enough message?
It's a great message. You know, I have an air horn that I play for my guests. I'm going to play it for you now, Gidon. Here it is. Just don't get a fright, because there are enough sirens going on in the background. Here's the air horn. That's when I celebrate a great answer on the show. We got to have a bit of fun. Do not be afraid. And fear is something that I spend time learning about, is healthy for 1 second. It's 1 second to just, but after that, you have to be able to control fear and not let fear control you. I want to talk to you about another emotion, something that I'm actually studying at the moment under Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, an Israeli connection, and that is happiness. I'm studying happiness at the moment, and we use a model called SPIRE, which stands for spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional. So my question to you, Gidon, are you happy? Are you a happy person?
Yes, I'm definitely a happy person. And Julie can vouch for that. I managed, in spite of many setbacks and trials and tribulations, to hold on to life and feel happiness even when things were difficult, and they were times that things were very difficult. And my whole life and my whole history is actually filled with struggles to survive, to make things better, to overcome hardships, to overcome loss, I'm just a human being. And trying my best and being happy is very, very important to me. Of course, you can't be happy every moment of your life. There are times when you are sad because of loss, because of hardship, but deep underneath it, yes, I would say, a happy person. I am happy to be alive today. I'm happy to have found a partner in my late years of life. That in itself is a miracle, truly. And that's what helps me be around, and that's how I get to speak to you and have you ask me some very difficult questions, not easily answered. There are no black and white answers. There are no absolutes. I always tell people who ask me 100%, this is 100%. And my answer to people who say, who speak about 100%, I say to them, please, there are no 100%. There is nothing 100% except two. One is change. You cannot avoid change. Change of personality, change of situations, change of governments, change of marriage. Change is unstoppable. It's a natural. The other 100% is when we are 6 feet under. Nobody sent me yet an SMS from down under. Those are the two absolutes of 100%. Everything else is flexible. All the time, every time, throughout our living and being on this earth. Change, change, change. And it's not always easy, and it's not always, fact is, it's hardly ever easy, because you always have to adjust yourself to the new, to the difference. But it's what there is. That's what nature has provided us. It has provided us with change, and it has provided us with, after birth, that there is an end to our human living existence.
You know, it's so funny because I could be talking to Tony Robbins or a 2025 guru talking about mindset and talking about being present and spirituality and one of those motivational speakers, and yet I'm talking to a 90-year-old Holocaust survivor. And I think what's so beautiful about this moment is this transcends time and space and age, and has this universal truth and outlook on life. And I truly love this moment. My mind goes to, and I want to ask you a few questions about youth, and then I want you to talk a little bit more about the book, and maybe we can even see if we can get Julie on camera and tell people why they should buy the book. Because I feel like, in a way, we have this beautiful opportunity to talk to our youth. So I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 questions about the next generation. Number one, what gives you hope? What gives you the most hope about the younger generation and about the youth?
I think today, what gives me the most hope about the young generation is I find them more open, more ready to listen and then try things out. I think in general, and I'm making here generalizations, I think they are more exposed to different societies, relationships, possibilities, because the world has changed. The world has evolved, and they are evolving with the world. I think this is something that the younger generation today has that when I was 10, and well, then I was still in the country, after the war, didn't have. We have things now that we could never even dream of. I mean, I can tell you something very funny. I remember a few years ago, not so long ago, maybe 10 years ago, I was driving in a taxi, and all of a sudden, uh, I had my phone in my pocket, and it rang. And who was on the phone? My daughter that's calling me from Santa Cruz, California. It's unimaginable. 20, 30 years ago, we were struggling just to have a phone in your house. Now you have a phone in your pocket and you can speak to your daughter 10,000 kilometers away. That's amazing. That's I can hardly understand it and explain it. So there are
Gidon,
things are so different now than they were before that if the young people today can understand it and lock into this, they will. The world is an open story for them.
it it's a beautiful statement. What you're talking about is wonder and awe and curiosity and just being amazed. And you've seen the changes in the world, which is so interesting how you are so comfortable with change. W- the thing that is connected to it is, and it's a difficult question too, but do they understand history? You know, today the youth, everything is, what do you call it, instant gratification, DoorDash, and and just pick Uber, and everything just arrives on a silver platter. You've gone through the ultimate adversity. Do people have to go through adversity? Do people have to go through such tough times in order to be able to understand and appreciate the good times?
It's a good question, but I am not sure I have a good answer. I don't know. That does everybody have to suffer in order to become a better person? I don't think so.
I
I
hope not.
I hope not. I hope not. I really do. But the truth is, and this is also true, that if you have gone through life and at certain times had huge challenges, you actually suffered physically, emotionally. Um, it, it it adds to the depth of your personality. But I'm not convinced that you have to go through that in order to become a good person. I'm not. But if you did and you have that, it makes your personality a little bit more pronounced, maybe more more solidly based, more prepared to meet other challenges.
All right. I want to spend the last few moments we have together on the book. Let's Make Things Better. Um, and Julie is very welcome if I don't know if she wants to be I call it the voice of God. Not that I'm calling Julie God, but sometimes I call this The voice of God. So there is Gidon full screen, but you hear my voice. I call that the voice of God. Let's talk a little bit about the book. Tell me, and as I said, Julie's welcome to join you on camera. She can talk from above. Tell us about the book. Why did you write it? What is the main message for people?
Okay, hold on for a second. Julie? Julie?
Oh, she's not in the room. It's okay.
She's next door. You want to have you speak a little bit about the book? Huh? No? Just that. No. She said she leaves it to me. All right.
Okay. All right. Tell us about the book, Gidon.
What can I say to you? You know, we wrote. Let's go do a little history here. When my wife died in 2012, I had been married for 40 years, and she was a very intellectual lady. She was tremendously well read. She had a master's in American history and I felt at a loss when she left me. She died of cancer, and this is also something very unbelievable. I had had cancer for 2 times and came through it, and she died of cancer within 1 year, cancer of the lungs. I sat down and started writing because I had lots of time. The house was empty and quiet. So I started writing about my history. What can I write about? Where I was born, how the family connections, etc., etc. And then I wanted to make a book of it because it wasn't in the form of a book. It was more like a memoir. And that's how I managed to find Julie. Somebody recommended her that she is a writer and an editor, and she probably could help me. And although to begin with, she was a little bit taken aback by this old man coming to her, Holocaust survivor, but in the end, she agreed to. And we sat down and we started writing, and she had me write things over sometimes 2 or 3 times. She said, "No, I don't want facts. I want feeling. I want to get to know who you really are." And so that's how we started writing the book, The True Adventures of Gidon Lev. And since I had a very colorful life, it was really true adventures. As you see me on the cover, I'm sitting on a tractor in the Jezreel Valley, plowing the fields of the Jezreel Valley of the kibbutz that I lived on, Hazorea. And that's how it started. And with time, since I've lived, by that time I already have lived 80 some years, 84 years, 83 years. My life is full of ups and downs. I had a previous marriage. I was divorced. I had children from the first marriage. I have children from my second marriage, of course. And there's a lot to tell. Some funny, some difficult, but it's a story, a human story of life, living a life.
A
Does it
beautiful
answer
life.
you?
Absolutely. You know, I wrote down this, Gidon, this beautiful quote. I don't want facts. I want feelings.
That's right.
That's a beautiful takeaway quote. Gidon, in our final few moments together, I want to be able to record and give you a voice to talk to a few different groups of people. What do you say? What do you say to a young Jewish person who could feel afraid, angry, hopeless, a variety of emotions? What's your message to them? And let's talk about young Jewish people in the diaspora outside of Israel, trying to make sense of everything, of anti-Semitism, of the war in Gaza. What's your message?
That's a very wide question.
I know.
You know, I wanted to say something. I will a little bit move aside for a minute from this question. In our book and in my presentation sometimes, I tell people at the age of 10, actually 11, 12, 13 already, I started searching, wanting to do something to, to build a life. I was 13 years old, and I still, after the war, and I joined this Zionist youth organization, Dror Chalutz Tzayir. And I was at a summer camp. At the summer camp, of course, there's Parents' Day. And on Parents' Day, you have to put on a little show, sing, dance, act. And I had a shaliach, an emissary from Kibbutz Dalia, and he taught me the song, Shir HaEmek. Ba menucha leyagea, umagoa le'amel. And he taught me, and I didn't even know what I was singing. 60, 70 years later, I sang the same song in Theresienstadt, visiting Theresienstadt, and a group of tourists, Jewish tourists, were coming down the street, about 25 of them, with a rabbi at the head of the group. And they saw me, and I was putting flowers, dandelions, on the tracks of the railway that had taken my father and my family to Auschwitz. And they stopped and they asked, who was I? And I told them, I'm Gidon Lev. I was here 4 years. And I told them what happened. And then I said, you know, you were singing a song. Now we're going to sing a song that I learned 50, 60, 70 years ago. Maybe you can join me. And I started singing, Ba menucha le'yagea, umagoa le'amel. And they joined me. And then they marched off. And the whole experience for them and for me was exactly what I felt. Here is life. Here is hope. Here is our future. We are going to overcome, even if they shoot at us night and day.
Absolutely. What a beautiful, beautiful response. I think that is the perfect place to end our conversation. It is a message about hope. It is a message about celebration of life. It is a Holocaust survivor's message of hope and celebration of life. And I Freudian said of love as well. Gidon, you believe that love always wins, don't you?
Yes, I do. And you see, the love is not only necessarily personal, it's also love expressed in this song. This song expresses love of ordinary people for the land that they have returned to. And it's meaningful. It's very meaningful, and the person who wrote it also felt it. Otherwise, he wouldn't, or she, I think. No. I think Alterman wrote the song. It's a very well-known song, and it expresses my and many people's feelings for this country, for this land, and we will survive and we will go on building a better world, a better country for all of us.
I love what you said there, building a better world, building a better country. There are three words that are very powerful. They can be very divisive in this world, but for us, the words are Yisrael Chai. And even though you said such a beautiful, that response was so beautiful that it almost was the time to end it, I want you to talk about Israel. And I would be remiss if I didn't give you just the last 2 or 3 minutes to talk about the land of Israel, what it means to you. And I'll give you the floor, because it's not for me to say political, not political, this, etc. You come from a position of so much credibility just by virtue of being a survivor. And so I just want those last words to be about this small piece of land, smaller than the state of New Jersey, um, loved, hated, whatever the case may be. Gidon, last few words are for you about Israel.
Okay, good. You said Israel. Look at a map. Look at a map. I have in my bedroom a map of the world. And it's a sliver. Israel is a little sliver on the Mediterranean Sea. If you don't look carefully, you won't even find it. The fact is, we Jews have a connection to this specific land going back 2,000 years and maybe even more. I love this country, and I know that it is far, far from perfect. We have much, much to do to make it a better country, not only for us as Jews, but also for the Arab citizens of our country. I don't know if people realize that we have 2 million Arab citizens of the state of Israel. And they have full rights. True, they are not always given full rights for various reasons, and I don't justify the reasons. But the fact is, they are full citizens of this country. My doctor, my family doctor, Basel Fahum, who is a Muslim doctor, a urologist and family doctor living in Nazareth, kept me alive for 7 years with cancer of the bladder. Only when he saw that he had penetrated into the outer part of my bladder did he say, Gidon, I can't continue keeping you alive like this. You need a major operation. There are two good, excellent doctors in Haifa. Here are the names. Go to them. Go to one of them. I could do it, but they are expert. And here I am, 10 years later, 10 years more, 13 years later, with my bladder being removed. Israel has much to do to make things better for all of its citizens. Politically, I am very, very critical of our government. It's much too extreme. It's much too one-sided. We need to include liberal people in the government. We need to hold on to democracy, make it stronger, make it better. But it is our country. And we are strong and we are powerful because that's what we have to be in order to live in the Middle East. Hopefully, we will come to a point where all the countries around us, Jordan, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon. I even had a conversation a few months ago with somebody from Lebanon that they wanted to have peace with Israel. I said, of course. There's even a railroad that leads to Lebanon. It was blown up during the War of Independence, but it can be repaired, and there can be a train going from Haifa to Akko to Nahariya straight into Lebanon to Beirut. I wish I would live that long to be able to go because it's going to happen. I believe it very strongly. So please, you can be critical and rightly so of our behavior at times, but it is our country and I love it and I criticize it and I want to make it better. Thank you, guys.
Amen. Let's make things better. A Holocaust survivor's message of hope and celebration of life. Today and on Friday, I was honored to spend time with Mr. Gidon Lev, not just Gidon Lev, but Mr. Gidon Lev. You can follow him on Instagram, Mr. Gidon Lev. Gidon Lev on TikTok. I forgot about TikTok. He's a TikTok star. Find out more about the rascal at gidonlev.com and follow Confessions of an Expat in the Holy Land on Substack, where Gidon's partner, Julie Gray, writes about life in Israel. Gidon, thank you so much for spending time with me. It was an absolute, true pleasure, honor and pleasure. I could spend the rest of my life talking to you. You know, and I intend to take a lot of these clips. The first place I'm going to take them is to show my kids and watch together. Everything will begin by just me sharing it with my own family, my community, and I just wish you just continued health, happiness, success. Continue to just spread joy, hope, and faith around the world to make things better. Because at the end of the day, you know, my final takeaway from you, Gidon, is things may be good, but they can be better. Let's make things better is all about striving. If tomorrow we can be just a little bit better than we were yesterday, then that is a life worth living and worth pursuing. Ohev verodef shalom. Thank you, Gidon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. And buy our book or books and enjoy them.
Buy the books, enjoy them, watch this as a guide if you want. And you didn't see this yesterday because you were in the shelter, but as a little bit of fun, I always end off with Chuck Norris, who basically determines, he may almost be as old as you, Gidon, whether in fact I had a good guest or not. And this is what Chuck Norris had to say about you, Gidon.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
You're Chuck Norris approved. Take care, everyone, and we'll be back soon. Bye,
Very
Mr.
good.
Gidon Lev.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.